Hi guys, and welcome to or welcome back to the No Gluten Zone. I create content for people with what I call food issues, and that can be food allergies, sensitivities, intolerances, or just autoimmune issues that affect your diet. We all have similarities there, and so I try to create content that's kind of across the board, generalized for people with food issues. I have multiple things I can't eat. My main one is gluten because I do have celiac disease, but there are other things I can't eat due to a couple of other autoimmune issues. So today I want to share a recipe with you. This is one of my longest running recipes of my life. Little known fact about me, I'm pretty sure, is that I was a vegetarian for 10 years in the past. From age 15 to 25, I was a vegetarian. Prior to that, I was a very picky eater, and I was having more and more health issues. And at the age of 15, I decided I needed to eat healthy. I needed to learn how to cook and, do this and take care of myself. So from the age of 15 forward, I have been eating very healthy. I am now in my 50s. But at 25, I made the decision that I was being a little too legalistic, putting myself in this box, calling myself a vegetarian. And I decided to just eat what I want and don't eat what I don't want. There's still some elements of pickiness, and they do kind of play into this recipe that I'm going to make today, because one of the things I am the most picky about is ground meat, and I don't like ground beef at all. This is a vegetarian kind of meatloaf, right? It's a lentil loaf. And I started making this when I was 15. I found this recipe somewhere. I don't even remember where at this point, and I have made changes to it over the years. So I feel like it is truly my recipe at this point. But I wanted to share it because I love it. My son loves it. We eat this pretty regularly in my house. And sometimes when it comes up when people are asking me, like, what are you having for dinner? And I say lentil loaf. They're like, what? What is that? And I'm like, you are so missing out. Like, you need to try this. Hi guys, I just wanted to interrupt your video for one moment. First, I wanted to say a huge thank you to all the people who did subscribe and helped me meet my goal of 500 subscribers. And now I'm onward in my journey and hoping to get more subscribers. So if you're viewing this and you're not subscribed, I would so appreciate if you would consider subscribing to my channel. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't, give me a thumbs down. That way I know how to plan for future videos. Thank you so much. I so appreciate each and every one of my viewers and subscribers out there. Now back to your video. One thing I will say is I feel like people with celiac disease are very afraid of lentils because of cross-contamination issues. And I eat a lot of lentils. I make lentil loaf. I make lentil curry. That's another recipe I will probably share at some point in the future. And I make other things with lentils in them. And I love all beans in general. My favorites are black beans, pinto beans, and lentils. I just love that category of food, I guess. I really like lentils. And so this is one of my favorites. And I've been buying and eating lentils forever. And I've been gluten-free, strict gluten-free for almost 13 years now. I've been eating lentils that whole time. And I have not once found lentils that were cross-contaminated. I have checked them in my NEMA sensor. I have had my gluten detection dog check them. I have never gotten sick either. So like all the way across the board, I feel very safe about it. I do rinse them really well before I cook them. Maybe that helps. I'm not entirely sure, but I just wanted to sort of ease that fear factor in case you are afraid to eat them. There are other testers out there now, Easy Gluten, the Leo. NEMA is going to make a comeback soon. So there are still ways that you can check them if you're really afraid and want to make really, really sure. But I just want to assure you, I think Goya brand is the one I buy the most frequently. If I see it, I know that I trust it. So just sharing that for what it's worth. And I hope you can find safe lentils and give this recipe a try. And I would love to hear what you think of it if you do. So I like to cook my lentils in my rice cooker because they basically cook the same as brown rice. This is the only rice cooker I've ever owned. I don't know how other ones work, but it just has a white rice button, a brown rice button, and then there's a saute and steam option as well. So I put them in here and set them for the brown rice setting, and they cook perfect that way. You can put them on your stovetop in a pan with a tight fitting lid. You'll bring the water to a boil, and then you'll do it at a low simmer for about 45 minutes, same as you would for brown rice. So I am going to measure out my lentils and rinse them and get them going. We are going to start with 3/4 cup dry lentils, and you're going to put that in double the amount of liquid, so 1.5 cups of water. You could use broth. I never have. It's a very flavorful recipe on its own, but if you wanted to put broth, you totally could. And if by chance you have canned lentils that you want to use, you're looking for approximately 2 cups of cooked lentils. And the 3/4 cup typically gives me that amount, but you can, it doesn't have to be exact. This is a very forgiving recipe. And sometimes I just look at how moist or how dry it is, and I just make adjustments without measuring sometimes, but I do have like general measurements that I start with. All right, these are well rinsed. I'm going to put them in the rice cooker. All right, these are well rinsed. I'm going to put them in the rice cooker. Just put the lid on and turn it on and set it for the brown rice setting. So I'm going to cook these and let them cool a little bit and then proceed with the rest of the recipe. So I will be back when they're done. You can cook these lentils like ahead of time, like even a couple days ahead of time. Just put them in the refrigerator until you're ready to assemble the whole loaf. And you could also assemble the whole loaf and put it in your refrigerator and then just put it in the oven when you're ready, which is a really nice option if you need to come home and just throw it in the oven and it's already ready to go. I do that a lot with like casseroles, even shepherd's pie. I will have those already like totally ready. So, and I will be back and when this is done and cooled a little, and we will proceed. Okay, welcome back. These lentils are cooked and somewhat cooled. I have chopped a small onion in this bowl, and I'm going to add the lentils to that bowl. My sincerest apologies. I had a complete microphone failure during this segment of the video. So as I was editing it together, I realized, and I'm doing a voiceover here as best I can. So now I'm going to add cheese. And I talked here about the fact that I have used all different types of cheese here. You can do a combination of cheeses or all one type of cheese, whatever your preferred cheese is. And in the past, my son was dairy free, and I used the Daiya cheddar shreds for this. So you can totally use a vegan cheese. You can use whatever you use in place of cheese. And I am actually going to do 1 cup of cheddar and 1 cup of mozzarella here for this recipe. I really like that combination together, but you want a total of 2 cups of cheese, however you choose to split it up. And I was talking here too about the reason they're in these bags is I buy the blocks of cheese at Costco usually because it's the cheapest form to get a big brick of cheese. And I shred them in my KitchenAid stand mixer. I have the shredder attachment, and then I freeze them. And it thaws out like almost instantly whenever you put it into something. So it's really great because I don't have to worry about it going bad, and it also helps it hold the actual shreds when it's frozen, and it's much cheaper, and I don't like all the added stuff that you get in pre-shredded cheeses personally. Most people don't want to be bothered with doing all that, and I totally get it. I just don't like the added ingredients, so this is just how I do it. But yeah, I love the combination of mozzarella and cheddar because mozzarella just has that amazing texture. It does have good flavor too, but I love the texture. And then the cheddar really has just, I like medium cheddar personally, and it just has such a great flavor. And just putting those two together is just like perfection for me. So there goes the cheddar. And there goes the mozzarella. So you now have the onion, the lentils, and the cheese or vegan cheese, whatever you're using, in this bowl. And you just kind of want to lightly mash it all together. I use a potato masher, but you can, I mean, you could use your hands, you could use a fork, you could use like a wooden spoon, you could put it in a food processor probably. But you don't need it like super like pureed. You just kind of want to mash it together. Let those lentils kind of lose their exact shape, kind of mush them a little into the onion and the cheese. So now we're going to add a couple of things, and then we're going to mix it all together again. Okay, so I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of, I use tamari, and it's the Sanjay tamari. It's certified gluten-free. You could use a soy sauce or a tamari, but just make sure it's gluten-free because most soy sauces do use wheat, and I think most tamaris do not, but that's not like guaranteed. So just check, make sure if you are gluten-free that you're using a gluten-free one. Then we're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of pepper and 1/4 teaspoon of thyme. We're going to mix that together. And then I'm going to add 1 cup of breadcrumbs. So back in the day when I was young making this, before I was gluten-free, I obviously used regular breadcrumbs that were full of gluten. I now use gluten-free breadcrumbs. I have also substituted almond flour and it has worked just fine. I can't have nuts anymore, so that's not an option anymore for me. But that is, if you want it grain-free, that's a great option if you can have almonds or some other nut. I could probably try, a lot of times when I have a recipe that calls for almond flour, I will substitute ground raw sunflower seeds, and I do a sunflower seed flour, and it tends to work well. So I could probably try that in here if I needed it nut-free and grain-free. So you're looking at the texture here. You want it like when you push down on it, like to stick together, kind of like a Play-Doh or a modeling clay. You don't want it really dry and falling apart. I've never really had an issue of it being too wet, but I have had it too dry. And then I'll add like an egg, or you could add some other kind of liquid to kind of hold it together. I'm gonna spray my loaf pan. This is avocado oil that I use. You could oil it with whatever you normally oil it with, or you could even use parchment paper here before you put it into the pan. So I don't know how well you can see, but I did spray this pan with oil. So I'm ready to put my loaf in the pan. And you're going to do this in layers. You do like a layer and then you pack it in because you want it to like hold together like as a loaf. If you don't pack it in, it's going to be more like bread-like, I guess, and kind of crumbly and fall apart. So you want to get it in there and like pack each layer in and just smooth out the edges, make it a nice even level shape as much as you can. I like using this rubber spatula for this because there's no sound on this. I was able to speed it up, so that's kind of helpful actually. So then I just go around and I try to level it all out and get the corners in there too. That's where the rubber spatula really comes in handy, getting around the edges and the corners. And it's not perfect, but it's good enough. So there it is. It's in there and it's very compacted in there. And I'm going to bake it at 350 degrees for 45 minutes. So it's done. It looks like this. Still a little bit warm, so I'm wearing the gloves. But what I like to do is take a butter knife and I go around the whole outside edge to loosen it. Then I cut the whole thing in half. Just eyeball the middle and cut. Now I'm going to cut those halves in half. So now I have 4 pieces and I'm going to cut all of those in half. So I have 8 servings. Once it cools down, I will put this lid on it and keep it in the refrigerator, and then we just pull a slice out and heat it up. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Have a great day, guys, and God bless you.